Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wilde Lake's Village Board meeting. It's 6:30. We have a live audience at home and we are going to start on time. First on the agenda tonight is our approval of the agenda. We do not have a quorum just yet, but we can.
You do. You do.
1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. All right, I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
So second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's been moved. Approval of the minutes from December 7th, 2015. I'd like a motion, please, to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Special guests. Tonight, we have a special guest, Greg Reed from Kimco Realty. Fresh off a promotion. Congratulations, sir. All right. Yes, please.
Thank you. As you know, Mr. Glazer now is in charge of national development for Kimco. So it's a very big promotion for Jeff. So he'll be staying in this region, but touring the country for Kimco.
Excellent, excellent.
So he will be missed, though.
Yes, he will.
Particularly by me in the region. So to give you a brief update, you can see Wood Partners is moving along pretty well. They will start pre-leasing this summer with occupancies late summer, early fall. Today, we turned over the space above David's, the second floor, to what's called the salon. I'm not sure what their exact name will be, but it's a salon. They do have to go through some entitlements with the county for their building permits, fit out permits and stuff like that. But they will be proceeding with them. I haven't gotten a timetable yet from them of when they'll be opening. I think a lot depends on their county permitting, but they are proceeding. I can't say yet who, but we have signed a letter of intent for the former KFC building for a national retailer whose name you all know very well. But I can't say yet. We're just starting the lease negotiation. Unfortunately, it's our company policy that we do not say, and we've talked about this, but we never release a tenant name until we have a signed lease. But we have a signed letter of intent. So we are in the lease negotiations. It'll be basically keep the building in place. We're not sure the structural integrity anymore of this building, but our goal has always been to keep the building so we do not have to go through CB 29 and make this a 5-year development process.
As before.
Yes.
Now, I've seen a few buildings that have actually taken just the base and taken
All the way down to the foundation.
Amazing. And then extend it and stretch beyond it.
Yes.
It's possible.
It's possible, yes. And that will be what, we're not sure how much of the structure we can keep, how much of the roof we can keep, but we will keep the foundation, the configuration, the parking lot, and the drive-through.
Okay. So
So that we can do this, I think, and everyone's goal quicker to get them open sooner. That's what we'll do. We are very close on 2 letter of intents for the spaces to the left of David's. It'll be split into 2. So we're very close on those. I would say we'll have something definitive probably this summer with leases on those 2.
How about the cleaners?
Nothing yet. I believe the Woods construction is still a mess on the corner, is still holding them up. We did have a conversation this week with Wood Partners, a couple phone calls because of the parking situation that we've been developing into with them parking their construction vehicles in the main lot, getting the lot dirty, parking down these side parallel spaces that run here. So we've worked with them. We've reminded them that they can't park there. So they're promising to cross over, park more on CrossFox and push their park down. I said, listen, don't move it over to here into the Slayton House and Swim Club because that doesn't help our issue either. You need to keep it all on CrossFox, especially now in the winter when the tennis center isn't full. You don't have all the tennis parking down CrossFox. They really should. I told them open up the parking deck, but apparently they won't do that. I'm sure it's because they don't want to put all the mud that they're putting on my parking lot in their parking deck.
The only thing for the next conversation you have is that we do have residents that park on CrossFox from all of the apartment complexes.
Yes.
And so pushing more onto CrossFox is going to inhibit them
If
also.
it starts to become, let us know. We've also told them they're allowed to park on links in the section beyond David's to CrossFox.
It's a new section.
And they're allowed to park in the section where their storage trailer is. So that's where they really should be parking. So if it's starting CrossFox, let me know and we'll push back on that. We completed the re-landscaping of CVS because it all died. Poor design from my landscape architect. He did not realize the overhangs in the CVS roof, so he did not plant appropriate shrubs underneath the CVS. They weren't weather tolerant for the overhang. They all died because they didn't get enough water, because the overhang blocked it, the gutter system prevented them from getting any water. So that's all been replanted. We're working on the design now. I'll have it by March 1st for the back of the bagel bin, the bowlies, and the area where the silt fence is.
Thank you.
We'll have it by March 1st. It'll be implemented this spring. We just exercised.
Will the trees be staying?
Yes, the trees will stay. We just authorized a contract today to replace the grease traps in the back. So hopefully that'll help the grease situation back behind those doors also.
Does that mean you're gonna put some kind of fencing around the grease traps, or?
The one's gonna be dug up and replaced. It's almost a 10,000, there's a grease interceptor back there that's also causing us problems.
Oh, you mean?
Underground, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think that's, I haven't heard of anything else. That's our update. As you probably have heard, we unveiled our plan for Hickory Ridge last month. And we will be having our first community workshop meeting in February and our first pre-submission meeting in March.
So you get to do this.
Yes.
All right, it's you on the.
I practiced on you folks and now I'm getting to the next building center and I'm doing it on Hickory Ridge.
Board, any questions for Greg?
I think you answered this the last time you were here. But I thought there was going to be an update on it. The little fence before the lower level on the ground, the little kind of blocking device for the lower level tenants, the shrubbery that went along there
On Crossfox in the residential
in
building?
the residential building. I'm
Sure.
sorry, I jumped right from the.
Sure, there are two things I think, and
Right.
I might need Carl's help on this one. There's a little fencing that goes around the tree wells, correct?
We're talking in front of, on the right of way, to the
Yes.
sidewalk, right?
Yes, it's both there and it's both going up Links Lane.
Right.
And then in the end,
What happened?
didn't we put the sidewalk in the middle and there's trees on the outside and there's landscaping up against the building?
Okay.
Right? That's
So-
kind of looked because it's been a while since if I recall. That was our end all, what we decided to do.
Great, so there's no.
So you have sort of both. You have the street trees down along behind the curb, and then when you're on the sidewalk, you can't get all the way up against the building because there's a row of landscaping down through there.
Okay, so the little fence is yesterday.
The fences will protect the landscape trees.
Oh, they are?
So that
No, I'm
people-
talking about against the building.
No, there's nothing against the building.
That's terrific, thank you.
And even where you have the fences, the sidewalk will still meet county minimum.
Yes, I think we made sure it's still like 5 feet or 4 feet of clearance to meet ADA and anything else. Oh, that's it. We did complete our ADA survey. It is a monster of a book. We do have a few deficiencies. One of which is the biggest concern, is not the pavers. They all pass. The pavers are allowed to have 1/4-inch gaps in them. And the pavers are designed to have those gaps for the infiltrate.
Right.
So the pavers do match it. We do have some issues with a couple of the sidewalks, the handicap ramps and the location of some of the parking spaces. So there are going to be some changes this spring. We're going to be ripping out a few ramps and replacing them. Keeping them basically in the same place just to make them ADA compliant.
You're making the sidewalk behind Melting Pot and that long stairs.
That is one of the issues we have to address, yes. And once you go down that across to get to Twin Rivers,
Right.
there's some issues with that other sidewalk there and accessibility in that section of sidewalk that have to be addressed.
Thank you for the grease entrapment down behind the restaurant.
All right, now I do see a hand waving in the audience.
Yes.
One of our residents, Martin Ray, she has been very, very concerned about one topic.
Well, a lot of it has to do with parking, and I'm from Crossbox Condos, and the new buildings that are going up that should be ready late summer, you said, will there be parking for their guests inside that structure? That is being
Yes, the residential buildings self-park themselves, which means there is enough parking based on the required number of spaces in the parking garage. And the way the garage functions, if you live on the second level, you should be able to park your car on the second level and walk right into not necessarily your unit, but your floor. You don't have to go all the way down, walk into the building and then go up the elevator. Each floor has access directly to the floor that you live on.
And will their guests have parking on those floors as well?
Guest parking, there's excess parking in my parking field out front. In like where the Davids is and behind the CVS, there's excess parking there that they'll be allowed to park there. There's restrictions on them when they can park out there, and they can't have overnight parking for the guests, but they can park there. There's also 60-some spaces extra that are reserved for the CA facilities, the Slayton House and the Swim Club, that are between this lot and the main parking field. That was all designed and agreed to when we went through the development entitlements.
Okay. Currently you have trucks that are parked, typically it can be any time of the day on CrossFox Lane, that, and I believe you were speaking about that earlier, but right now they park almost directly in front of the swim or the tennis club, which sometimes obstructs our view because one of the workers parks their truck right at our entrance, and then you have the trucks on the other side, so you literally have to pull all the way out to see either way. Is there any way to have them move their vehicles a little bit further away from our entrance so that it doesn't obstruct our view?
Sure, I will talk to Wood Partners about that and try to get them to stop parking beyond the limits of what would be the village center, which would be eliminated from your entrance. Jeff, I can talk to Wood Partners about that.
Okay, and my last was about the curb. I noticed that some of the curb was torn out. Will that be replaced, or is there some plan for the curb, like right outside our condo entrance, right at the corner of, like right across from the tennis courts?
Let me check on the location. So I know some was taken out for some utility connections, which we would have to put back.
Okay,
But let me get, I'll drive down there when we leave, I think tonight and look at it. But
Okay.
yes, if we broke it up, we'll replace it.
okay,
We have a large bond posted with the county for things that the situation exactly.
okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Another question?
Just a brief question. Where will the entrance and egress be for that parking facility?
It's off of CrossFox. It's there now. If you look at the gap in there, it's
Yes, I saw
probably,
that. I couldn't see if there's one on Lynx Lane. as
no,
well.
the only entrance in and out of the garage is right there on CrossFox.
And you said that there are about 67 extra parking spaces that will be primarily for the use of people going to Slayton House and the tennis courts. Did you say that?
In our count for our required parking for the village center, one of the things that's in the covenant agreement way back from the 70s, whenever, is we had to provide parking for Slayton House and the swim center. It's not designated anywhere. It doesn't say where it has to be. And I don't think anyone ever wanted it to be stipulated and marked that. So what we did is we did a couple things. When we redid this parking field out here and eliminated the grass island that ran down it, we were able to add another row of parking there. So between that count and then in the main parking field, there's extra parking. It's above and beyond what we would need if we just were operating the retail.
And the tennis courts will know that their people can park, because that, we've been having a lot of issue with the tennis courts, and once the parking lot was removed, they have like taken over CrossFox Lane.
Right.
So just trying to figure
We could
out.
probably work with Kristen and put it in some of the village notices, the monthly flyers that they're parking, additional parking here, and they can park in the village center. I think this part, they would park in first because it's a bit of a walk. I don't understand why it's a bit of a walk when you're about to play tennis, but it's a bit of a walk to walk from over here all the way around the building to over there. But we can probably, yes, we can talk to Kristen and get something put in the flyer of the monthly newsletter.
Any other questions for Greg?
Thank
Just
you.
one, I guess again, a real quick one, since we're talking about CrossFox condominiums and CrossFox Lane fences. The fence between properties and CrossFox Lane or CrossFox condominiums, what's gonna happen with that? It's white now, and is that gonna be replaced?
The one that's supposed to be brown,
Yeah,
that went up white?
yeah,
Yes.
okay, Roger.
This is gonna become we're gonna have to ask that it can be white.
Okay,
And if everyone objects, we're gonna have to put it back in as brown, because it is supposed to be brown. If everyone objects to the white, we will replace it. We currently logistically aren't on site mobilized, because it's all wood partner, but I have to come back in and remobilize and come back on site this spring because I'm responsible to do all the landscape along Cross Fox, fix Lynx Lane. There's some more canopy that has to be installed in front of the residential building. So we'll be back on site this spring, summer, finishing all the things, and we can discuss if you don't like the white.
It's just good to know. There's no objection to the residents.
It
On that area.
faces my windows and I'm
That's right.
okay with it.
I don't anticipate a problem.
Okay, all right.
You take notes on white.
That's graffiti. That's right. Thank you.
Yes,
When you say we are coming back,
Kimco.
okay,
Kimco is not, we are not done our work yet. We have to do finishing work all around the wood building. We have to do finishing work in the parking lot over by the Davids over there where they're mobilized and staging. We're responsible to do all the landscaping around the foundation of the wood building. By the dirt, we're gonna have to clean the parking lots. I mean, we've been cleaning it now, we'll have to clean up everything. So we'll be back in. Kimco will be back on site. Like right now, our general contractor is not here.
is your contractor going to be Morgan Keller?
Yes,
They have a giant punch list?
yes, we're working through it. Like some of the
They
items,
haven't been dismissed?
they have, no, we can't dismiss them. It's too far down the road now.
Okay.
We did dismiss our grading contractor, but we never dismissed Morgan Keller. We went through 2 grading contractors. But Morgan will finish out the work.
Because there is still a lot of work.
Yes, we still have quite a long punch list of items.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate audience participation. Greg, thank you so much for
Sir,
being here.
thank you.
Thanks for the update. Greg, before you walk out.
Yes.
I apologize. I saw the stanchions being placed in the ground for the 3rd floor the crossover for Lynx Lane.
Yes.
Where will the opening be on the parking garage to gain access? It looks like the pillars are literally going perpendicular to walls on the parking garage.
Oh, and wood either messed up in their prefabrication, but there should be a gap in that
Should be a
where the
nice
bridge,
size hole
the
where the
bridge
bridge
comes
is,
in.
right?
Yes, there should be a hole to walk through the parking garage.
That is interesting.
So that's a fabrication. I hadn't noticed that, but that's
Take
a
a look when you
fabrication
go by there,
error
it's like,
with wood. I'll be here during the day next week, so I'll look at that. Yeah, that's interesting.
all right, thank you. Take care. Next on the agenda is.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. Next on the agenda is Dennis Matty, Columbia Association, Director of Open Space and Facility Services.
My name is Dennis Matty. I'm the Director of Open Space and Facility Services for the Columbia Association. We're here tonight to give you an update on the swim center. With me, I have Al Edwards, who's the Director of Construction for the Columbia Association, and Marty, who basically runs the pool for the Columbia Association. It's a multi-year plan. The first phase is really the flume, but I know that was important to the community. So as we move through the process, and it's probably 3 summers worth of work, we're now planning to close the swim center in season, which is anytime it's not summer, because we have 23 indoor lap lanes, 11 of which are at the swim center. So we can't lose that asset when we need it the most. But Al has some drawings that he'd like to go through and give you an idea of where we are. But we're on target to reopen the flume in the fall.
Nice.
And you guys do like purple.
Purple fun.
The Ravens flume?
Is that what we have on the album?
No,
You're being facetious.
I'm being facetious.
Ah,
We have a
okay.
color selected, but all that has to go through the architectural committee.
Okay.
And I know there was some concern about the existing flume color, so we want to get that right from the get-go. But Al?
Al, I'm trying to find out, where's the best place for you to be able to show that and our audience at home be able to see it also?
Yeah, that's a difficult one, because I was thinking maybe back in that corner, but I don't want to get the drawings too far from
Too
people.
far from
but
everyone.
Actually, it would be helpful if maybe you swung over there and I just pull this back a little bit.
Okay.
Do you think we can do that?
Is it still in the,
Yeah, I'm gonna check to see. if it's in the deal.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and just hand you some copies of what's on that board. These are 11 by 17s of these drawings on the show, so that you can get to, I don't have enough for the whole,
So we can share.
for the whole audience, but you guys can share some of these.
all
How's that? That work?
Okay.
Good.
Did you say it was gonna take?
He said summers.
You said 3 summers, and you said it's gonna be open this fall. So
So the flume is going to reopen in the fall, but the work effort, which is re-roofing, locker room renovations, lobby renovations, all that takes place over a multi-year project because we want to shut down.
yeah, that's good.
So, like Dennis says, really the emphasis really now is on the phase 1, which is over the program pool, gets a new roof, and the slides and the replacement of the slides. It really is an in-kind replacement. They're a little bit upgraded in terms of the technology, and the materials are better and new. We have the larger slides with inner tubes that went in them. That we're no longer going to have those. They'll be body slides, which is a little bit smaller diameter, so it's a little bit smaller of a structure from the look. And they'll all be body slides, both tubes. But generally, it's the same configuration and the same location as what's there now. We heard a lot of, well, not a lot. We heard some feedback that we would like to try to change that color, that beige thing that's kind of created. Heard some rather descriptive adjectives to say. We'd rather see something a little upgraded on that. So let me just show you and start with that.
Wow.
So basically the slide starts here at the tower, which is staying, and it ends in the pool where it does now. So really, there's a little bit of the geometry that's a little bit different in between, and they try to do some of the things to make it a little bit more of an exciting ride. But basically, it's the same thing. We're suggesting that the structure that holds those be a warm gray color, and that the slides be this blue, which they're calling a translucent blue. So I brought a sample of those 2 colors. We are going to send this into the architecture review this week. But these are the 2 colors, the warm gray, and then it's actually called online gray, which I don't know why they would call it such a thing. But the translucent, you can see my hand through that panel. It's kind of exciting because when you turn it to the side, it really looks kind of blue, but you can actually see people in the tube coming down through the tube because you can see through that. And so it lets light through there, and it's the tubes we have now are a little bit scary because they're in a tunnel like this, so you can actually see out of it. So I can send this.
So we're promoting as we tube,
Actually, I think it'll be a good promotion because you'll look up and you'll see people coming down.
screaming.
Yeah.
Sounds optimum.
But still, in a pretty tasteful way, I think. I like the colors we've selected here, but you can kind of see this image on the top right. This is not the color we picked, but it's a translucent tube, and you can see that person coming through that. Okay, so that's what it looks like in profile. And then in the plan view, you can see it starts at the existing tower, it comes into the same location, still overhangs the slope there, just like it does today. So it really is an in-kind replacement. And just so you know, even though we started our public approvals today, so we will turned in the building permit. It was accepted at the county today. We got through the zoning part of it, and they're now on to reviewing the structural parts to get the structural permit. I have to say, and then when Rebecca comes in tomorrow, we'll file for the architecture review to see if we can get the colors and stuff selected and approved. Now I got a couple images that I wanted to share with you. I like our architect, Moody Nolan. He gave me a couple of these boards to look at. These are not printed on your slides, but that's kind of what the slides will look like on the new building. When the whole project is done, we get a new roof essentially. This is the cow wall system. It's just plastic. I can pass that around. This is actually the color that will be on there. It's just replacement of the roof. That is the color, and that's the material. So yes, circulate
That's for the main pool or the?
that's for the main pool, and that's what you're seeing here behind there. So
Is this
that's
somewhere
happening in a
where-
later phase, and that's not going to be submitted this week, but I just wanted to let you know where we're going with that. Okay?
Is that very similar to the color we have now?
It's very similar. It really is a replacement. So that's what the slide looks like on the building. This is, this is the front entrance that you're looking at here. Slides to the right. This is the rear entrance, slides to the left. And geez, I guess that would be from,
It's the south.
yeah, looking up the hill at the building. Okay. So,
If I could just add one thing on that back elevation, there are some pine trees there that screen a lot of pine, so you really won't see as much of it as you see right there.
Right.
But in order to show you what's going in, that's,
I was gonna ask if they, but.
we're not planning to take any.
You're not gonna-
interestingly, at the county today, they were saying, well, we wanted to get more access around the building, we told them we can't take down the trees, so.
Thank
And they.
Thank
Well, the beauty of it was being able to see it from a distance, on the other side of the interfaith center, so,
Yeah, and then we were trying to respect that property and what they might see from their side, and it might be exciting for us to get some of it to the slide, but it is an interfaith center, and so we're keeping the trees.
So when, because I know that, seeing the flume from that side by the school, is this going to like have a reflective option, like is it gonna shimmer in the light, or, because it's so,
I don't think it's gonna shimmer, and I said the material around, it does have more of a glossy feel to it, but I really think on sunny days, it's gonna blend in with the sky, you know what I mean?
oh, that's interesting.
Should look pretty seamless and not outstanding. I mean, we had some exciting colors, but we wanted to tone it down a bit, but not tone it down like, right on beige. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right, beige.
So now I'm gonna put this out there too to let you know where we're heading in some later phases. The phase 2 and 3 are gonna complete the project. It's gonna be over a couple of years because of what Dennis said about our shutdown time. But the next phase, we're gonna redo the whole interior lobby area, new locker rooms for the men and ladies, redoing the family changing rooms, and right now we're thinking of a new design that might really enhance that as a new feature, a new locker family changing area if that works out. And then phase 3, we get a new wading pool. The wading pool is not ADA accessible. So this has a whole bunch of ADA upgrades to it. Let me just step back one drawing. I have that on here. So, well, I don't have a real good drawing to show you this, but the swim center right now has an elevator in it or a lift for the handicap. We're trying to get rid of that. very hard to have a piece of mechanical equipment like that in a very damp environment. The mechanics of it never work reliably. So we're eliminating that, and we're putting a new ramp system that goes in and ramps down to the lower end of the pool. Okay, so that's coming out. That's a pretty big improvement too. So lots of ADA upgrades. We got a lot of ADA stuff to fix on that. One of those ADA upgrades is going to be on the front where we have a new ramp system, because the system that's out there now, one, is not on our property, and two, is not ADA compliant. So we have to fix that. There'll be a new awning over top of it. This isn't exact, but these are the concepts we've approved. It's not, construction drawings approved yet, but they're heading in this direction. Okay. So you can see we have new seat walls, new signage, a new opportunity to put the CA logo out front. Pretty attractive, pretty contemporary. Lots of angles to match the angles in the existing roof and such.
So is the sign going to say Columbia Association, or is it going to say Swim Center?
It's
Going to be a sign.
it's going to be. a sign.
Thank you for the clarification. That's cool.
We're still really early in the process. And
Yeah, it really is, and our corporate communications is going to really weigh in on that.
I'm sure. I mean, this is like monumental compared to anything else that's out there in Columbia.
Really, I'm just trying to show, at least in this, because these are later phases, that the architecture is showing a little bit more of a contemporary entrance, that the walkways and stuff will be covered, and maybe show you the colors where we would like to head with the colors. And in particular, this is the CA blue and how that would look against and match, the new blue that we have in the front with the blue slides in the back, so that it all kind of ties together. Okay.
And the CA white.
And
That's a
there's
lot
some-
of white, yeah.
There's some, green on the logo and stuff that they've got in there, but that signage will be detailed at a later date. We get closer.
Of course, right.
Okay, but that's where we're at with it.
Board, any questions for Rob? No? Audience, any questions for Rob? All right. Well, thank you very much.
So there was a question.
Yes.
I got lost in the timeline of everything, so can you give us the general timeline, so when the flume is going to be open and?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that, I think, when you were talking about.
Right, so the first
Shutting
phase
down.
is the flume and the roof over the program pool. Both of those will be under construction this summer, and we hope to have the flume open in the fall. We're on that schedule. That's our hope, unless something goes bad. We'll be heading that way.
Okay, and then, so the flume is gonna be opening in the fall, hopefully. Will the swim center be shut down for the summer?
Yes, we have the regularly scheduled shutdown. It'll be a little bit more extended, I think, this time, but there'll be periods. But a lot of this construction is happening outside, so we think that just a normal shutdown period over the summer,
over this summer.
this summer.
The next 2 summers, it'll be shut down completely. We'll have enough work. You cannot run the swim center without a locker room. And then we're replacing the panels with the main pool. It's too disruptive, so we wouldn't want to have anyone in the building. Most of the flume construction takes place outside the building. So except for where it actually enters the building, there's a minimal amount of impact.
You'll have an option for our swimmers to continue to swim somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, the plan is Hawthorne Pool right now. We'll absorb all the morning activity at the swim center, and the 23 outdoor pools will absorb the evening activity.
Thanks, Mike. Any other questions?
You gonna keep the wee bit after the flume opens, or?
We're planning to use it at the outdoor pools. Hawthorne has the exact same diving well as the swim center, so we're going to install the same anchoring system at Hawthorne when it's drained to be filled and painted this summer, and we're planning to run the Wibbit this summer outdoors at the Hawthorne pool.
Yeah, it looked like fun.
Yeah.
All right.
So for young
Done at the
kids.
same time. Or it's gonna be done at the same time as the flume?
I'm sorry.
The program pool roof is gonna be replaced in the summer. The flume installation is a longer process. That roof is probably 30 days.
Thank you, I
We'll
appreciate
be
it.
back with more details on the inside.
Appreciate you.
I'd like to make one more plug though. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when you walk out of the building, we replaced all the lights out here with LED heads. And that happened just in fairly recent. I don't know if you have
Didn't
noticed,
notice. Nice.
but it's amazing how good it looks. In addition to which, we have plans to replace some of the seating, that treated seating that's out there with more permanent product. That's upcoming. And we're in the process of our facility assessment survey. So I know there's some HVAC requests that are part of Wilde Lake's interest, and we'll be looking at those also.
I know other audiences, other meetings, we've talked about the reconstruction out here in front of Slayton House. Can you address any of that right now?
The reconstruction of the seating area, or
Yes.
The amphitheater.
The amphitheater.
we are we've gone through a couple of different designs. We think we have something we like, which has to come back through the architectural process, which Jan Clark, our in-house landscape architect, is working on right now. And I think that if it's not this spring, I don't think we would do it this summer. We would definitely do it this fall. But we're moving forward with that.
Yeah, Dennis, because Jane did come and present something, in a graphic presentation.
Yes.
So you're saying that that's not finalized, that there's. gonna
No,
be-
there's been some changes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, really? Can we get some salmon or stuff to throw to the eagles, get them to stay?
Maybe some Dale.
Check that out.
Yeah, well,
They're going after the little shad.
Yeah, I think they must be,
You're gonna go into fishing?
no. I want the eagles, I want to get pictures of the eagles.
Next on the agenda is resident speak out. Party, hi.
Is this where I get this?
And this is anyone right now. We're gonna go down the list. Half the audience left us, so there's a possibility that some of these will not be here. Let's give it a try. Here's the first one. You signed in first.
Jason?
Cover my throat.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jason, I'm sorry.
No worries, it's my handwriting. Yeah, I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, thank
And then
That would
I
be
think
me.
you. Mine right.
That's an R. I wanted to talk to you tonight about the parking on CrossFox Lane. I've noticed I've been in CrossFox condos for about 12 years now, and over the years, the parking at the tennis courts, you'll notice that it was just a lot of coming close to our driveway where it just really made it difficult for us to enter or exit. This summer was probably the worst. I mean, people parked literally right to the edge of each side of our driveway. And, you know, there were days where people's cars would go beyond. And so it was just really unsafe. Many of us were calling the police. We were going over to the tennis courts to try to appeal to them, to speak to members. It just really never really seemed to kind of let up this summer. And so I think that's been a big concern, especially for us coming out of CrossFox, because if there isn't adequate parking for guests who will now be living in the building, or guests of people who will be living in that building, the different teams and all of the different schools that are using the tennis courts, along with regular visitors, that we could be potentially dealing with that same thing regularly. I did speak to Dave Burns when he first started last year. He referred me to Anish, I believe is her name, who's the general manager of CA Tennis Court. And she kind of volleyed it back to us to say if we could have the signs repositioned. I had already had the trees cut, had signs put back up. So, you know, we're doing what we can from CrossFox perspective, but I really want to put pressure on CA to make sure that they really designate parking for their guests, because if Kimco's saying they have 67 spaces, they could be filled up with people who are using the swim facility. So then we're still gonna have that same issue of people having some place to park. You now have the middle school being reconstructed, so there's a lot going on in that area. And I don't think many times when people are using that area, that they really kind of consider, you know, how we're getting in and out of our area. And so I just want to see if there is some assistance that you can give us. They also suggested that we have the sidewalks painted to give some distance. There are already signs there. We had the other signs that were removed by Kimco put back up. That really didn't seem to help. People park right under the no parking sign, and then we have to get those cars ticketed. So it's been kind of like an ongoing battle that we've been having in that area.
Being it's a public street, have you talked to the Department of Public Works?
They will probably be my next, because now that they're saying that the entrance will be for the parking garage will be at CrossFox Lane, then, you know, I'm like, where will people park between Links Lane and, you know, our driveway that will be safe for any of us to enter or exit if they park there? So I would like to see that whole side of the street just no parking. So I am going to appeal to them or find out what we need to do to appeal to have just that whole side of the street to be a no parking area, because people can park down going towards the middle school. It is much wider if they're parking on one side of the street to be able to just walk up and go into the tennis courts. But right now, the tennis courts don't seem to be willing to kind of say, this is where our people are gonna park, and, you know, give them specific instructions on where to park when they use the facility.
You've talked to CA?
I talked to CA, Dan Burns referred me to Anish, who's the general manager at the tennis court.
Who's Dan Burns?
He is the person that was he just started, he's overseeing like all of the facilities, but then I guess she was the general manager of the tennis court. So he then referred me to her. So Public Works will be my next to see what are the steps that we need to take. I don't know if we can paint any area, although they've cut out a lot of that sidewalk, which was my other concern, because I'm like, if they're gonna extend that out, we were already having difficulty passing either way, because if you're not familiar with this area, you don't know that our driveway's there if cars are parked right up to our very end. So we're just trying to find.
You probably have a really good case, because there has to be access for a fire engine to go through. So if emergency vehicles. So if it is, as you know, take pictures, if you have any photographs, whatever you have, and send them with your issue to the Department of Public Works. And you can, when you go on the county website, they'll tell you exactly, it will specify where to go.
Okay.
Because I know that that's a similar thing that happens on Harlebrook Road, which is where the lake is. And so there's only parking allowed on one side.
Okay.
So, yeah, so there are probably other places as well. Yeah. That
Do
will
you
help
see there being a need for this board to intervene? I'm hoping that we can kind of resolve this just within our own condo board, but I've never done anything like this, so.
Actually, we have in some respect. I actually talked to the Director of Public Works regarding CrossFox, and they said definitely on the books right this minute, there is no changes to the actual physical parking structure and the parking directions as is. But they are willing to hear from public information. And I did talk to the CrossFox HOA president, and they said that they want to be involved with that conversation. So between Wilde Community Association, the Department of Public Works, CrossFox Homeowners Association, we're going to work together on this particular project. We also have been in touch with CA, and all of the partners are interested in coming to a resolution to this. And so we are going to work on your behalf. We would love to continue to have your interaction though. And one of the things that you're mentioning and what Jeff has been mentioning is that personal touch, that residential feel to this push is going to be crucial. So we'd like for you, if you wouldn't mind, to continue to work with us in that capacity. You are a current resident, residential. You're one of our neighborhood representatives. And so we appreciate the feedback and the civic activity that you're doing right now. So we will work with you in partnership. And as you take pictures and you get information, please do not hesitate to forward those on. And if you can continue with your personal address of this, we sure would appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I just recently had some involvement in something similar, but not in Columbia. And I can say that Mrs. Toback is absolutely right. The key is egress and ingress. If emergency vehicles and fire and ambulances cannot get in easily, then that's unacceptable, and it really sort of drives and forces the decision to be made.
Is there any other questions or?
Is it for me? Thank you.
That's all right. On that particular topic, next person on the list.
Okay, Karen and Jim, we have.
We have nothing.
Okay, Wendy,
I think she left.
let's see, Elliot,
They left.
and Bill Miller left, and Jimmy Singleton, I see his name. This looks like Scott.
Scott left.
Alright. And then these CA people, and, all right.
I got a message from the task force.
We can do that during close. Please. Absolutely. All right, that's all for resident speak out. We appreciate everyone coming. We have a full agenda. You're more than welcome to stay.
Thank you.
So Martin, right, did you see my message about the issue when you first emailed me? All right, great. Because what Kevin said, I forwarded a message to the board and we discussed it, and I was like really bad from the board when I said it.
I don't know if I forwarded you her email, but
No, I don't think so.
I just kind of, like, she gave me some things that she wanted me to do, so I told her I would wait and discuss it here and then contact her back.
I don't see a combo spark thing.
Well, you're doing a good job. Thanks.
Well, this is kind of stuck in place. Sure.
I'm sorry. We got some individuals in our audience that hadn't signed in. I'm just making sure that no one is missed. All right, next order of business is the donation request from Bryant Woods Elementary School. Did we have anyone representing Bryant
They were
Woods?
supposed to come, but I guess they didn't
They did
come.
not.
Yeah.
I would like to, all of the board members received the information digitally. I'd like a nomination to.
I move that we allocate $500 to Bryant Woods Elementary School PTA.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for 500 for Bryant Woods. Any questions? No? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous.
I appreciated the breakdown of it came from Christine. That was very helpful. Very.
Next thing on the agenda is donation request for AOK mentoring and tutoring. Hyatt is in the audience. Hyatt, always good to see you.
Thank you.
It's always good to come here, and I don't know why I don't come more often, it's just the things.
Well,
It's
coming for
entertaining.
money is one thing, you know, pass the
Yes,
night is another.
I'm always glad I'm here, so thank you for having me.
It's always good.
So I represent AOK Mentoring. I was the director for the first 12 years. I retired in June. I was a volunteer director. Now we have a paid director who came to us with a world of experience, who's also a Columbia resident. Some of you may know Susan Berger. She used to work at Family Life Center. She was in Baltimore City for 15 years directing the equivalent of Voices for Children. That's here in Howard County. Children in foster care have advocates and special court-appointed special advocates, and Susan ran that program. The advocates are volunteers, like our mentors, have to be specifically trained, and their service over time, which is what we look for too, is really important. And so we felt her background was very, very, very appropriate. And I felt at ease when I retired. And so I joined Jeff's committee, the Education Committee of Wilde Lake, because I have a little more time now. And the education of our children and the success of our children is where my heart is in terms of volunteer work. So AOK is in it's either its 13th or 14th, this is 13th year. We grew from an organization that worked in a couple of schools with serving 6 kids. We're in 18 schools last year, serving almost 240 children. 80 of those children had one-to-one mentors who visited with them weekly for the school year. Half of those mentors were in their second or greater year. The longest I was with one child was we went from 3rd grade to the middle of 7th grade. And I noticed and this year, the last 2 years, I have a girl as my student. It's the first time I've had a girl. So I've been very expert at building relationships with boys. But I asked him, because every year at the end of the year, I would say, do you want to continue next year? Do you want to continue? And he would say, yes. So one year it finally dawned on me to ask him, why do you say yes so emphatically? And he said, Mrs. Kaplan, you're the only adult who sits down and listens to me. Now, this was a boy from a 2-parent family. They were an immigrant family. Both parents worked. I think they may have had some education, but when they got here, Dad drove a taxi. Mom was a nurse's aide. They had a number of children. But for this boy to get the attention that someone concerned, to just sit and be with him, I think was really valuable. We are not told much by the school about why the teachers or the counselor picks a child. And so after I had worked with him for, I think, first or second year, I asked the counselor, why did you refer this boy? She just blurted it out. She forgot the privacy issue. And she said to me, well, he's a bit of a bully. And what I learned over time, I think the mentoring relationship was an asset in his life, but he matured too. And he sort of made a speech to me somewhere in the middle of 7th grade about his philosophy of life. And it was lovely. And the truth was, he had given up being bullied. Or at least that's how he talked, which was, I don't think it was just the mentoring relationship, it was maturation and other experiences with kids, but it was really nice. And we hear stories like that from other mentors. I was talking with a close friend who joined the program, and I think she's in her 4th year with her boy. And he's from a Latino family, and he's the oldest of 4 children. And he's in charge of the little kids while his mom is a single mom, works. And this boy has just thrived on the adult attention he gets and the year-to-year attention. And she told me, we've kind of talked out. So what she does is bring a newspaper with her each week, and they read articles together and they discuss them. What a neat thing for a 7th grader to do with his mentor, to feel valued, to be learning, to be expressing himself. We have, the majority of our mentors are women, but about 20-25% are men. We're just under 100 mentors. And so I'd like to tell you about a couple of men, because I want you to know that they all do great work. In addition to the kids who were seen individually, we provide volunteers to the after-school programs that the Black Student Achievement Program runs. So there are two guys, one who is an independent in business for himself in computers, and so his time is a little flexible. So he's able to show up on Wednesdays for the after-school program at whatever time that program begins, 3:45. And the other one works at APL, and they grant their employees a certain amount of flexibility in order to participate. So Patrick and Bruce come into the program. The kids who participate in the program year to year know them well. They both tutor the kids, but they also have lovely, I've visited the program, and they just have great relationships with the kids, the boys and the girls. They're real assets. They're moving furniture. They're doing whatever the program needs, and a real asset to the Black Student Achievement Program. And we're volunteers in all 7 of their centers. So I think because AOK trains our volunteers, because we say to them right up front at orientation, this is a very serious investment of your time. We are really looking to make a difference in a child's life, or for you to contribute to the kids in an after-school program. And now because I have a little more time, I have my individual student that I work in an after-school program. And it's really quite possible to develop in this atmosphere of 15 or a few more kids, very nice relationships with the kids, and I'm enjoying it tremendously. And I'm looking forward to being with the kids over time. But anyway, so we're looking for a serious commitment from the volunteers. We get a serious look at them. We ask them to come for a 2-hour orientation and a 3-hour training, and our screening process includes a 90-minute interview. We want to know something about their motivation, what they'll bring to this task. We want them to know that while we say the minimum requirement is an hour a week for 1 school year, we really hope that they'll be with us significantly longer, because that's where you'll make the biggest contribution over time.
Question, hi.
Yes, interrupt me, please.
Sounds like a fascinating program. Has it changed much since you've left it, or were you?
Mostly it's since I left, I don't think so.
Okay.
Susan Berger, who came in, has much more experience in the executive skills, so she's tightening a few things here and there. But in terms of the heart of the program, what we do and what our purpose is, that hasn't changed.
That's good.
We're really looking to grow. When we became a nonprofit in 2009, we had 45 volunteers, and it was because we were close to 50 efforts, time to become a nonprofit. And the last year, the year before, and this year, at this point this year, it looks like we have had about 95 volunteers. And this year, it looks like we'll reach that mark and maybe go a little higher. When I was director, I was looking to break 100, and we didn't.
Let me ask the board real quick. Any questions for Haya regarding the donation opportunity? No. So, thank you, Haya. Appreciate that.
Thank you. I would like to make a request. I heard that you're giving 500 to Bright Woods. I also know that Jeff had suggested 250 for ALK. We had talked about this at the Education Committee. And you gave us $500 the last time we came. Now that we have paid staff, it becomes more helpful. I wanted to let you know how many volunteers we had in Wilde Lake. Bright Woods Elementary has the most students. It had 15 students with one-to-one mentors, and we also had a volunteer in the Bridges After School program there. Longfellow came in second with 14 volunteers there. Running Brook has 5 or 6 mentors. We were unsure ourselves as I went over numbers today. So that's Running Brook, Bryant Woods. We also follow kids into middle school. Last year we had 3 kids. This year we have 4 kids who went from elementary into middle school, and then volunteers went with them. And we usually see the kids in the after-school programs in middle school. We think following kids into middle school is great because those are, we usually meet kids in the 3rd grade, although we'll start with younger kids. But I think the more tumultuous years follow in early adolescence, and it's very nice to take that relationship with the child into middle school. We've had very nice reports from the middle school. So altogether, we have about with 20 volunteers dedicated to kids here. We also have been in Roslyn Rise and the other interfaith project up on Harper's Farm Road.
Right out here.
Right out here. We had been in those two programs, the volunteers and the after-school programs, but they have moved. Right Out Heath is now Longfellow Elementary. And I think the kids from Right Out Heath go to Briar Woods. Yeah. And certainly the kids who live in Roslyn Rise go to Briar Woods. So we've had several volunteers in the after-school programs working with the kids there. And
So
the
let
other
me
one
understand, your request is that we consider a different amount than the 250, is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
well, we'd be very happy to have the 250. If you're able to give us 500, that's what you gave us before. We are continuing to grow. We now have paid staff, and so our expenses have gone up. So if you can grant that.
Let us discuss real quick. Okay, thank you. Board, moving forward.
Well, let me, all right, we have a total of $2,000 in the budget for donations.
This month's the 500 using the current.
Well, okay, there's total 2,000. We've allocated 500 to Brian Woods, 500 to Running Brook, 500 to the middle school, and 250 to the robotics project, which leaves us 250 in that budget item. So if there's other places to get funds, because I would expect that the high school will also be coming back in, because the robotics thing was separate. So, if we have.
And then you have
money,
the end of the year and the graduation and.
If we have,
The grad party.
yeah, right, that's what they're trying to raise money for now. So, if we can go get more money, right now, it's 250 in the budget.
How much is in your pocket, Jeff?
About $30. How about, what do you have in your purse?
About $1.
How about those
A bunch
bracelets?
of lottery tickets that didn't make it.
Let me
I'll put
understand.
some of my money on the
That's-
table.
Let me understand. What Jeff is saying is that if we want to
Yeah.
go over, it is something that is a possibility. We don't normally do it. We hate to do, we hate to go over budget. We really hate to do that. This sounds like it might be one of those cases or instances, but I need the board to come to consensus on that. Is this an opportunity that you want to extend and go out and over and above? If so, we're going to have to take away from something else.
Well, the question is, we do not have a clue what else might be coming in. Do you have any, have you tapped into anything, Jeff, through your committee? No.
I went to the high school PTA meeting and they were complaining about money, and I said, hey, we're here and we have some. So I would be surprised if they didn't come in. Then again, last year, they didn't really come in.
So what I would like to do is I would like to suggest that we put this in abeyance. And if we find that we have a surplus in other areas, and maybe at the next financial meeting, at the next quarterly meeting that I'm at. So maybe we can take a look at it, and we do not, this does not go away, but it just gets tabled for the time being. And then we can revisit it, and if there are funds there, it could be proposed that we revisit this and potentially provide additional funds.
You mentioned the word additional, so approve the 250 and then do an abeyance for additional, is that what we're saying? Or
Well, I was going to say that we, yeah,
pay the
okay.
entire thing or give
No.
them some up front?
Yeah, right. Does anybody have any suggestions?
I think I support your suggestion.
Thank you.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we donate, actually, these are the donations or grants, that we allocate $250 of funds at the current time. For wording of the thing,
Wording of the motion.
we donate $250 to AOK.
At this time.
We donate
Right.
$250 to AOK.
Right.
Okay, then we'll have a separate discussion if somebody seconds this.
I second. Okay.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? No? All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Right, and then what I'd like to suggest to hire is that AOK come back and ask for additional funds, and we'll have to go.
When would you like me to come back?
I don't know when,
I think March would be a really good time, because then that would leave us the March meeting and the April.
March?
We only have one meeting a month.
What is that?
We have a meeting in February and then another.
The first Monday.
First Monday in
First
March.
Monday in March.
Except you gotta check to make sure we're gonna be here like some first Mondays.
Are you gonna be traveling to some exotic destination again there, Miss Kaplan?
Yeah, we're going to California for the month of February. First time ever doing a month thing, and so I want to be sure I'm at the meeting. So with the right meeting, I'm available at the right time.
It's March 7th.
March 2nd, Monday,
Seven.
first Monday in March.
7th.
Okay, I'll put it in my calendar. And I appreciate very much the continued support from you all. If it's possible, well, that'd be great. Thank you. And then I can give you updates on the numbers because we continue to recruit through the spring. We think it's worthwhile because people who come start in the spring, we say don't start unless you're available in the fall. And it's terrific. We continue to build our numbers. Thank you very much. It's very nice to have this community support.
Thank you.
I have some things like recruitment things. Can I leave them on the desk there?
Absolutely. Give those to Carolyn, sure, and make sure that they go to the proper place. Thank you for coming out. And
And thank you.
Thank you. I mean, to
We can
think
go in
that
the
this has
desk
gone
and-
from 6 students
Yeah.
under your tutelage to a nonprofit organization is phenomenal.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
I feel really pleased, but the best part is when you see the kids blossom and when you read we ask teachers for evaluations every spring at the end of the school year, and they're just heartwarming. So thank you all.
Thank you.
I feel very much like I'm among friends here, and it's very
you
nice.
are. Next on the agenda is the request for art resolution for 10547 Jason Lane. And Carl, I'd like you to speak to that.
Yeah, this is, property's been an eyesore over there for quite a while. You sent them, you approved a 15-day notice in April, and initially they started to make some progress, but now they've stopped. In some aspects, it's probably even gotten worse. I sent you a letter today, and I spoke with Jeff later, and he would like to include the little fencing and screening around the HVAC unit is falling over, and they're storing junk on the front porch again. So, yeah, that was,
Moved in and.
yes.
This is.
So, I have a huge file on this property just because of all the emails that have been going back and forth over there. And I see no other solution at this point.
The pictures were great. I mean, they really told the story.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
The sad story.
The sad story.
And you know, Saturday afternoon, they could go out and fix all this stuff on Saturday afternoon.
It just requires their input.
Yeah. I tried to stress to them how much to their advantage, because once it goes to litigation, it's gonna be much worse for them. Because the ARC committee, the AR committee is going to go out and they're gonna look at this and they're gonna cite them for other things as well, probably, because they'll go over it with a fine tooth comb.
Are they, how are they to talk to? Are they amenable? Are they open to listening to you?
Initially, the woman would respond to me, but now nobody does.
Nobody does. Are they living there?
As far as I know.
On the side end. I'd like to bring in Norman into the equation. Norman is a resident nearby.
Yes, I'm in Faulkner Station.
Yes.
And I'm on Jason Court, which fronts Twin Rivers Road. And we have a new board that's just been elected. They've asked if there's concern about the neighborhood in terms of having new invigoration in the neighborhood. That would not be me, by the way. I've been here forever. This is my first board meeting, though, so it's very interesting.
Congratulations.
Yes, well, I used to work, and now I don't work any longer, which is a wonderful thing. But they've asked me to see if I can help connect the neighborhood with the board here, and they already are connected to the board, but using the board to find out how to connect to the county and to CA, and whomever else is going to help solve some of the problems that we might have. So nothing dire or anything like that, just I'm going to try to create some sort of a contact list, perhaps make some contacts so that people know who I am and who Faulkner Station is and what some of our issues are. So just a very low-key start, and hopefully it'll help us solve some of the problems that we have in terms of locating who to speak to, how to get things done, and so on.
We're happy to do that.
I think we have a committee that will actually help you get started with that.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
I'll be glad to assist you. I'll give you my information before you leave.
Okay.
Get your information.
I'm sorry.
I had a meeting with the president, vice president,
Bob and Bob.
last week,
Bob and
and went through the process, of which this is one step now. And we kind of prioritize, because there are a number of houses on Jason Lane that are already in litigation.
Really?
Yeah, there's at least 3.
Goodness. Norman, what do you have to deal with?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I didn't know some of this. I know that there are issues, but when you're on Jason Court, you're kind of isolated.
Yeah.
Everything is down the lane, so to speak.
Are you on the end where Bob, the Buckmeyers are, is that?
No, the Buckmeyers are on Tully Clock.
Oh, they're on Tony.
Yeah, there are 3 streets in the neighborhood, and they're connected by the CA land lane that
Yeah.
was supposed to be the
Monorail.
train that would run,
Yeah, the monorail.
the monorail that would run
Really?
through. That's why it's called Faulkner Station, I believe.
I always
So-
wondered about that.
Interesting. So I guess they were working on some houses there. There were a very large dumpster was removed.
Yeah, I saw that just the other day. That one was a new one to me. How long has that been there?
I don't know, but I didn't know about it, and I was walking my dog, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I saw this, and they were not taking any care to not destroy the property. So
It's on CA.
I started filming, and that's when they changed their minds and decided they should be a little more careful. So I contacted CA about it, and they were most interested. So we can send somebody up.
Yeah, if you're gonna put a dumpster on CA property, there's a procedure you have.
Yes, you have to get permission.
Liability
It
insurance.
was news to them, yeah. So, anyway, they asked me to do this because when I was working, I worked for the federal government for 4 years. And for the most part, I was, basically liaising on with other federal agencies, state agencies, local people, and so on. So they asked me if I would attempt to see if I could create a little guidebook for them.
Why don't you just come in and talk to me someday, and we can kind of replicate what we did at the meeting the other night.
That'd
I'd
be
be happy
wonderful.
to do that.
Yeah. I had been to see you once, and that was to get permission to
Yeah.
create something in the backyard.
Yeah, I remember that.
Carl, please proceed. Thank you, Norman.
Well, I'll come in and speak with you. I think you're only here certain days. No?
I'm here every day, at least 11 to 5, but if that doesn't work for you, let me know, and I can.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
24/7. I'm available. Except when I'm not here.
Okay, so I didn't mean 11 PM to 5 AM. Let's get that.
Yeah, no
straight.
problem. No, I'm up. Now that I don't work, I don't want to miss anything.
Hang on one second.
I'm sorry?
Ula wants to
give you some.
call you. Ula's gonna get you some contact.
Oh, is he? Don't let me interrupt your meeting. I'll sit here. It's not-
Oh, you'll.
My wife has a book club
Okay.
at our house right now, and I really don't want to go home.
I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and finish this up, Carl. Sorry.
So what are you gonna do here?
All right, so it's, what's being presented to the board is to go ahead and move, this is a request for an ARC resolution for this particular location. I'd like a motion and a second.
I move that we refer 10547 Jason Lanes for ARC resolution.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
What I would like to do is everything, we don't need to cut the grass, because there's very little grass to cut. I would like to do that.
It's not supposed to be below 3 inches anyway. No, people don't know that.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, the ARC met today, so.
So we're on the next cycle.
Yeah, we'll be the next one's meeting. So, one other thing, if I can put a plug
Yes,
in here.
Carl.
Kristen and I looked at the preliminary plans for the splashdown, and we thought that we would prefer to send that to the RAC instead of getting the AAP together again, which we have a good RAC. They're smart people, they're conscientious, and I think that would speed things along. So, but in order for that to be done, when the application comes in, you'll have to, I'll bring it to you all, and you have to vote to refer to the RAC.
Sure, this is a great suggestion.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You have good ideas, Carl.
So Carl, I actually have, task force board met on December 30th. Because for the past 2 years, 2014 and 2015, the walk around committee task force, which I had, we did surveys of properties in task force, and there were a number of properties with serious violations, like properties that need repair, fences, broken stuff that need a rework. So we sent those property owners notice in 2014 they failed to take action. We did another walk around in 2015. Same properties, we sent them notification again in 2015, and they failed to take action. So the board met on December 30th and agreed to get the Wilde Lake Village Board involved or the RAC involved to try to contact those homeowners.
All right.
I have a list. I can send you an email to somewhere of the properties, the numbers and stuff.
Yeah, that would be good, and then I can go out and look at it, and
All right.
I'll be happy to. Well, not happy, but I'll be.
It's in your scope. All right. Carl, thank you so much.
All right, thank you all. We'll see you.
Nice to see you too.
Nice to see you.
Take care.
Have a good evening.
Well, did you know that it's all complaint driven? So, you, after a certain point, if you see something, you are more than welcome to file a complaint or make a call about a complaint.
Okay.
And then if you don't want to file it, then Carl can walk out and take a look at it, and then he will file. So it's all driven the same way. Yeah, so you don't have to wait, all this time.
That's true, because if we wait till spring, then they don't fix it, and summer comes and pass, then winter. We're gonna
Exactly.
again.
Exactly.
Vicious cycle. All right, next on the agenda is discussion on the village contingency fund position paper.
Well, that was pretty complicated stuff.
Yeah.
We have some very, very smart people as village managers to
Yes.
put that together. That was
Yes.
very, very intense.
Well, okay, so it was sent to Jane.
Demner.
Demner. I always have trouble, I always want to say December. Demner, and she sent back a note. So is this going to her now, or this went to her before?
The position paper she's seen,
Yeah, so what are we being asked to do?
it's just if you want to take
A position.
a position on the position paper.
We want to take a position that we want to create this 5% sort of a flat tax kind of thing.
Well, no, okay, well, there was a whole lot of issues in there, and there were things like third party, and I had a question as to who third party was, and I had a couple of other questions. And I don't remember what my other questions were.
That's where I had a
on it.
question.
Well, it was a matter of who was, who would be running and taking this over if it wasn't CA. How come Oakland Mills put in a gazillion dollars in River Hill or King's Contrivance, or, one of them
Right.
put almost nothing in. And, how'd that occur?
How are these ratios?
It's based on this thing with the cash reserves, is what,
So you mean they spent all their money and didn't have any cash reserves?
well, or they didn't have extra income.
So if they didn't have extra income, how did they put all that money in there? That's
They
what I didn't
They
understand.
didn't, all, it had to do with this formula that was developed that
It's flawed.
it's very flawed
Mhm.
because,
Because Harper's Choice has a rental facility and they have $0 put into the fund.
Well, it has to do with the zero balance budget, and if you have over a certain amount of cash reserves, you're supposed to put it into the contingency fund. But it's very unequal because it depends on how much money each village makes during their operation.
And they all have different.
All are different,
All are
all
so
different
different.
size, different facilities.
And populations and
It's
programs.
really more based on the facility than the population.
Let me read the recommendations and that goes through this fairly quickly. There's only two. Have the independent organizations that generate the revenue for the fund decide for themselves how that fund will be managed. In other words, eliminate third-party involvement. The second one is change the way the contingency fund is funded. One possibility is to institute a flat tax of 5% of net per village. This would ensure that all villages that earn a net profit contribute to the fund in an equitable manner. Percentage would be reviewed annually to determine if there is too much or too little being contributed to the fund to meet the stated goal or goals of the fund as determined by the village boards of directors. So that's where you were talking about the 5%.
Right, so my thought was, what happens to the money that's been accrued up to this point? Because that was my question. So
What do you mean, what's already sitting?
what's sitting in there? You know, I remember a bazillion years ago, taking a look at the contingency fund to try to have a very big birthday party here. And I went to the board, to CA, whatever, and we were not allowed to touch it because then there was always the possibility that other villages might want it, and there was only like $120,000 at that point. So now, I mean, here we are, whatever it is, it's more than 10 years.
Well, the villages have used it
For other things.
For other things.
But there's still some serious money in there.
Yes.
It's being replenished on a yearly basis.
Constantly.
Well,
So-
right.
So if there's something like, you know, if we could also, with an assessment, put a little codicil in there with an assessment that the funds, the current level of, or whatever, a set of fund, I don't want to say funds, current level of income, whatever you want to call it, is also explored as to if this is above the necessary amount that we need to keep in there. And if it is above the necessary amount, how is that going to be dispersed? I think that would, you know, for me, that's my.
So there would be a cap on
It
it.
sounds
A cap,
like
definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think at this point in time, we are supposed to actually take any position.
No,
one way or
it's
another.
more
not
of
a
a
voting
discussion.
action.
No.
It's just discussion. So I
Okay.
think what we did just now was have a very, very good discussion
Okay.
on the position paper. We resolved what we need to do as a board.
And understanding it, I think,
And
yeah.
understanding it better.
Right.
One thing that we would like to pass on, I guess, for the minutes is that we agree that it's flawed and that there should be some review, further review.
Definitely.
Okay.
Any additional discussion on that particular subject?
Well, it seems if this is going to continue, it's probably worthy of a meeting by itself, a separate meeting to discuss this issue depending what we want.
With
where we want to
professionals
go.
that would have more
Right,
knowledge,
yeah,
to add it
yeah.
to the discussion.
Right.
Because just us discussing it's not going to solve it.
Right.
All right, so we'll bring those folks in at some point in time. That's the addition of people that put this together. Great. Next on the agenda is discussion on donation request review process.
Okay. This came up because with the education committee being set up, thought it was a good idea to send these requests to the education committee. So we tried a straw man with the request from AOK and from Brightwoods Elementary School. Sent it to the board, to the committee members, and basically got a response from, I think, two of seven. And they said, yeah, whatever you say. And then when we had a meeting this week, or last week, to discuss it and said, do you want to be involved in this? And the answer was, we don't see that the committee is adding any value to it above and beyond what the board is doing. So why should the committee be involved in the decision as to funding it? Now, where the committee said they could play a role would be making the schools, the PTAs aware of it, because you have a rollover every year with new PTA, and they don't, information does not get passed down. So they thought their the best thing for the committee to do would be to notify people and help them if they need help in writing something, and be a sounding board for what they want to request money for, but not get involved in changing our donation request review process at all. Certainly, they'd like to know about things, but not. But
That's a good suggestion.
There was no necessity to change anything.
Well, that's a good outcome, though.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was useful to see.
Sure. Right.
Anything else in that discussion, in that thread? No? All right.
Oh, I was just curious, Jeff. Kristen's, is it Kristen Coombs?
Kristen.
Yeah, she said she was going to go to the last of the 3 education meetings, the sessions. Did she go? You don't know? Was there any?
Look at her blog.
Was there any conversation about those meetings that did take place?
No.
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 It's okay. Thank you.
No, she's running for the board.
Yeah, I know.
So.
All right, next on the list is the AC liaison.
Okay. Received in December. One was approved and I signed off on it. The other one was tabled for additional information. I don't remember which one that was. Anyhow, the RAC is meeting January 12th, and there were 2 applications that came in today. One was fast track and one had to do with the state to approve some things. But that's next month's report. During the calendar year 2015, there were 93 applications considered. 86 were recommended for approval, submitted. 4 were recommended for approval with modifications, and 3 were recommended for disapproval. None of the disapproved applications was appealed to us.
Wow.
So,
Not bad.
so
That's great. So
no big fence issue this time.
yeah,
Like,
is your quarter over now, or you're?
He's the whole year.
Oh, you're the whole year?
Yeah.
I didn't realize we remember that I did.
All right, next on the agenda is Columbia Council Representative. Nancy's unable to be with us tonight. She had a conflicting CA meeting. So we will make sure that you get all the notes from that meeting, and that should provide some information. We can also email her if we have any questions. Anything that I need to take to Nancy directly? No? Okay, next item is committee reports. Education, please.
Okay, I briefed the Dorsey Search Village Board, and they agreed that they would, put out whatever information we requested they put out, or at least attempt to put it out. We had a meeting of the Education Committee last week, and we discussed this donation request, this I just covered, and we're trying to figure out how to get more information from the schools to make Carol's newsletter longer, which we always do, and also get to other people. And I would suggest, what I was trying to do is get the committee members who would sort of be liaisons with the school to take up and do this, but they didn't jump at it. So somebody suggested that we go to the presidents of the PTAs and the boosters clubs and request from them information, highlights on a monthly basis, if that makes sense, for what they think their school should be is proud of and be publicized.
How many of these schools have newsletters?
If they will do.
So can you all get on the
I'm
subscription?
on all,
So that doesn't fulfill
if some of it, but not necessarily all.
all of it? Okay.
You know, and what they said is that the PTA presidents are plugged into the principals. And also when I send this to the PTA principals, presidents, I CC the principals so they're at least aware of this. And we'll see what happens. So I sent a draft to the committee tonight, this afternoon, and I'll see what they come back with. And my plan would be to have, give them midnight on February 1st, to be specific as time, and see what we get. You know, it's okay if they don't
Sure.
put anything in. There's nothing to brag about this month. That's fine. If there's something to brag about, and then I'll have to see with Carol how we're going to squeeze it all. Oh, we get lots of it. Like all these students make the honor roll or whatever.
Well, I think, teams going to championship games,
Oh, yeah,
just all that
yeah.
kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's concert, Carol's
Concert.
put in, there's these jazz at Wilde Lake coming up on the 23rd. There was something in the elementary school. Running Brook Elementary School is doing a concert band and fiddle, the strings maybe, I don't know. At Wilde Lake High School coming up soon. Yeah, I want to pull that out and send it to you. So.
Great.
Anyhow.
Will they reciprocate? Can we send information? to them?
Absolutely. And all their newsletters have community information from all of them. So if there's anything we want to put in their newsletters, we're welcome to do it.
Do we have a process? Do we have Carol send to you or you or them?
You send it to me and I'll get it.
More ticket sales, Carol. All right, well, thank you, Jeff, appreciate it. Any questions for Jeff on education?
Oh, and one more thing, it was wonderful, and I can send you a link. I happen to be on the Wilde Lake High School, one of their websites, because they've got two, they're wildelake.com. And there was a thing by Mr. Lamone, who's the principal, and it was called How I Made It in America. And it was wonderful, 6-minute video describing his growing up, doing absolutely lousy in high school, never imagining going to work in a steel mill for 8 days and saying, I can't do this. And eventually getting scholarships and going to college. Yeah. And he was emotional in this. I mean, he had to stop a couple nights. So it's really lovely. So I can send you the links if you'd like to see it.
It's really special.
Oh, yeah, it was. I was very impressed. And I assume he probably uses that, obviously he's got students who probably the same as he was.
Absolutely. Very nice. And Mr. Lamont, you had sent in a thank you letter to everyone for the
robot.
The robot program that we sent.
That should be thanks to Jeff,
All right, anything else for Jeff? No? All right, neighborhood representatives?
So I heard from Christine about the welcome bag. She did place the order for stick notes, pens, and what else she has do?
Bags?
Yeah, bags, post-its, and pens. She's working with Brown and Associates to design the bag, and hopefully we should have them ready before the neighborhood rep event is scheduled for January 30th. So we should be good.
Invited, right?
Yeah, everyone is invited.
Norman.
Try to get Norman. I'll send you an invite for our next neighborhood rep event, which is scheduled for January 30th. Yeah. So hopefully we receive those items before, and so I can at least incorporate it within the agenda. Yeah. And that's it.
Any questions for? No? All right. Wilde Cares.
Okay, so I have culled the information from from Bess from Wildlife Cares, and then I have mine from the Watershed Advisory Committee, so it's all in one. So under the Cares Committee, there's going to be another species removal in conjunction with the Columbia Cleanup Day, scheduled for April 23rd, with a rain date of May 7th. The rain date has been suggested as a possibility, put it out there now, so that, you know, in the event that it does rain, gets on the calendar. There's going to be a trash pickup on that day. And so it's going to come through open space that'll help take care of that. And this time around is going to be a garlic mustard pull for the invasive species. The Columbia Families in Nature, who did an amazing job of, we planted, I showed up as the board representative. We planted Christmas ferns down by the rock, and that was just an absolute delight, and pulled out the stuff that was there. And they want to do another event on June 26th. And additional conversations that Bess had with Sean Harbaugh regarding fishing on the lake. She said she'll get back to this topic with Sean starting this month and see where things go. I do know that new signs were made. I do have that information from somewhere. I was looking today, I wasn't sure where it came from. Under the Watershed Advisory Committee, there is a very complex series of proposals. It's a book about yay thick, and there's 800 mediation sites that would cost over $220 million, and these have been pared down to 148 reparation sites over the next 10 years. John McCoy has added that the county is already to CA offering to do watershed improvements on Lilac Lane, Cradle Rock, and Homespun, and to do outfall stabilizations. So there was a lot of time in the last meeting that went to that with all kinds of tables, but if they can get it down from 800 to 148, and that the county will be responsible for most of those, and that, you know, that the CA would pitch in, they'll get done. So that would be awesome. So what the WAC did was they moved to recommend to CA and the board that they request the Howard County Department of Public Work to include a number of the watershed remediation projects on CA property in the current county budget and in future budget requests for the duration of the program, and support the budget requests with testimony relevant to these projects. So that was what we recommended to send to the board. And we also passed a resolution that the WAC recommend to the CA board that they oppose the repeal of the stormwater utility tax, and there's going to be a meeting on that coming up. I think it's this week, the 18th. And that was that. So that's my submittal for that part of the program.
Any questions for Rob?
No, but I'd like to compliment the CARES and the watershed thing.
Advisory.
Yeah. For doing stuff to bring eagles in.
Yeah.
Oh, the Eagles, yes, yes.
The brother Eagle.
And thank you for giving us the idea of where the Eagles are coming from. Before you mentioned this, no one knew.
Nobody had a clue, right? It's really fascinating. They have to come from somewhere. It was the whole thing about when, we had the swans and the swans from one lake to the other. And if you know the cause of why something ends up there, then all the questions just seem to go away. So when you get the salmon, let us know, Jeff.
Norman, do you have any idea what we're talking about, Eagles?
No, I don't know what that is about.
It's a Bette Midler song, When Eagles Fly.
Oh, no, we're being facetious. Would you fill in the audience at home and Norman?
Okay, to the Eagle watchers at home, the Philadelphia Reservoir and the Brighton Dam are undergoing some repairs, and portions of that have been drained. And this is where the eagles, we have eagles that are
That's Philadelphia.
at Tardelphia, and we do have visitations from the eagles, not, they don't really nest here traditionally, although I got some, but what's happened is they've come here and they've nested at both ends of the lake. Of Wilde Lake, and they're spawning, and, each eagle, whatever, the mother
Comes back
eagle,
here.
whatever, yeah, they're now up to about 20 that we have, including the babies. So it's.
I don't know how wildlife is.
Well, walk down to the lake any afternoon after around 1 for an hour or so. Just stand there and they'll be flying.
And they'll be flying high. I did go, you said it was, you got some good pictures, and I did.
Do you know what kind of eagles they are?
And
Do you know what kind of eagles they are?
yeah, bald eagles.
They're bald eagles?
Yeah, we don't, golden eagles would be wonderful, but no.
Put in a request. No, so,
Well,
yeah.
there were, apparently somebody said there was a fish die-off of the shad, and so it was easy pickings.
Right.
And I'm not seeing diving in like I was a week ago. So it may have run its course.
Exactly. Well, see, usually after the winter, and we have the ice melts, we have a real heavy inundation of fish kill. Because there's no oxygenation going to the bottom of the lake, so there's no plant material, there's nothing for the fish to really survive on. So they pass. So we have a lot of feeding that goes on in the spring, and so the fish kill, because the shad are dying off, is what's happening now, which would replicate what happens after the winter. But because we don't really have a winter, although the ice did freeze on the lake, which was very exciting, and then overnight, during that 2 foggy days, the ice melted. That's the fish update. Fish hour at 8:12.
I would be very surprised if there's permanent nesting there.
Yeah.
I think they might be roosting there during the winter. It's convenient, but I doubt we're going to see nesting.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've seen, I saw about 3 or 4 today. Yesterday I saw about 5 or 6. And there were a lot of people around the lake. And I met somebody today who was down there, and she came from Warford County. She's closer to Conowingo than here.
Wow.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, well, the word's getting out.
So when the messenger comes from Brighton Dam and says, "Okay, boys, come on home."
Yeah, they'll start twittering.
Yeah, twittering. Right. So that's that.
All right, any questions for Rhoda? No? I had one, Rhoda, I was going to ask you, something you just mentioned.
Do you want me to send this to you? Because I did this on the back of something else. Unless you want to make a copy of it.
Okay, I can do that.
What was that?
Oh, the repeal of the tax.
Yeah.
You said that the WAC is sending information to repeal it.
Mhm.
So not to have it come out of our residential taxes, commercial taxes. Did they have a recommendation to the governor where to get the money, the funding?
Oh, no, not to repeal it, not to repeal
Oh,
it.
not to,
Repeal it. Because what's happened is, and this is what I was kind of leading the charge on for a while, got distracted. But there is no designated place that this money is going to come from. And so the concern is by all the people who support the tax, because the tax is an initiative that gets homeowners to do things. It's an initiative for people to put in rain gardens and to get the rebates and to do things with the downspouts and redirect the drainage and all that sort of stuff. And where our concern is that the monies, which are then accrued from the rain tax rate, it's like, $25 to $79 per household. It's less than your trash fee. Then those funds, how are people going to receive? Excuse me, back up. How will the program to give rebates to homeowners for doing these things be able to be supported? And this is what the hue and cry is, because you're taking away the incentive to do something. And we need this very badly. Because every single thing that comes off of your roof or your house or your sidewalk or your garden and goes into the storm drain will eventually, at some point, wind up in the Chesapeake Bay, which is an estuary which is 250 miles long, which most people don't realize. They think it's in the Baltimore Harbor and it ends there. But that's the story on that. Does that answer your question?
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you. I'm glad you clarified that. All right. Next on the agenda is the manager report. Kristen has submitted a manager's report. She's out ill tonight. Any questions that you can recall from her report? All right. Without further ado, I'm going to go to board chair. Board chair doesn't have an official report. However, I wanted to thank everyone for their input via email for the bicycle master plan. Your support on that was truly appreciated at the Department of Planning meeting where they did approve the bicycle master plan. So that is a plan that they can actually start building some of these fancy paths. We have cyclists on one side and pedestrians on the other side. It's going to be a very, very nice way to get around Columbia. The next thing is, let's see, went to a gathering with other village managers or village board chairs. And one thing that was talked about was having an opportunity to all the villages partner in a housing refurbishing type seminar. It's one day where everyone would come in the morning and leave early afternoon, but have an opportunity to listen to specialists talk about everything from covenants to repairing your home at a discount, funding opportunities, different things like that. I sent some information around via email and got some responses, and it sounded like everyone had an interest, but I just wanted to know, the village chairs have been asked if we could get back to them and let them know it's an event that they are thinking about publicizing for March. Do we have an interest in being listed as a co-sponsor?
Is this Sierra's money?
No, this
No.
is Oakland Mills.
Oakland Mills.
I did not mention that. Oakland Mills. I didn't mention.
Well-
We did it once before and worked out okay.
What I'm thinking about, what I thought about, and I didn't respond right at all,
Okay.
because I was thinking that there's two things that came to mind. One is that there's a housing fair every year. And the housing fair is in the college. And people have tables and different realtors have tables. And all that information is there at the housing fair. And so it's, houses that are for sale, how to do this, the things that you're talking about. And then the stewards, we had a sort of a fair at the college as well, and with different courses that were being given in the different rooms off the area that we were allocated. And people went to different seminars on different things, over the course of, the day. And so these things get marginally to fair attendance, but they need tremendous advocacy to get people out to them. Because people are thinking like, well, if I want to go find out if I need new siding, they'll call a siding guy to come out and look at their property. So I'd like to know, what the goal would be, what the overarching goal would be of the people who attend. And between now and March would not be sufficient, would be insufficient time to get the communities noticed, because where are you going to hold it? Who are you going to get out there? How are you going to promote this? Who are you promoting? So, given all the list of questions, once you start thinking about it, you've done events, there's a lot of lead time that would be into it. So that's my 2 cents, and that's why I didn't respond.
All right. Thank you very much. Any
I
other?
think one difference with this one is you're actually going down to the bowl instead of just the college is working on like a different level and not really communicating with like the different HOAs and their boards, which would then pass that information to residents. But what set this one aside is you actually communicating with HOAs, which will then relay that message back to residents. And you can get a broad audience compared to the college, where you have real nurses that don't really have a connection with the HOA.
Well, that's a place to hold it. I mean, where are you gonna hold it? That was,
Oh, this is Oakland Mills in the other barn.
oh, in the other one.
So
Oh, okay, I get your point.
Anybody else? Yes, hi.
If I could add to that, there are a number of events that I miss in Wilde because I travel because I'm retired. I could do that. And I always say, well, gee, wish they had it more than once. And something like this might be, I can understand what you're saying, that if people don't know about it and you can't advocate it, then, but on the other hand, if it has some success, people are going to be upset that they weren't told sooner than that they could attend it. So that would be, for the following year, might be an incentive. But sometimes it's better to have two of something that's really useful, so that people who aren't here all the time or cannot make a particular event have an opportunity to another shot at it, so to speak.
Well, also, it's a matter of, tell them again, and different people will
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah,
It's
true.
You just have
So
to.
who did you anticipate being those people that would come and offer advice or opinions? What did you see as the program?
They were asking for suggestions and advice from our boards, what our villages would like on the agenda. They said that it was pretty much an open idea or concept.
Sure.
And they said, if you guys have anything at all that you think your residents would prefer to have on an agenda or on a panel or speaking in front of an audience to address certain needs in Wilde Lake, please bring it on. It might be something that's necessary in other villages. So, okay, I'll take notes and bring it back. Is there anything in Wilde Lake that, if we so decided to get involved with this going forward?
What's our co-sponsor? What is our role?
I am looking at, since you asked, I am looking at a little piece of paper. It's just a half sheet of paper, actually, almost a quarter. But it was a agenda item that was passed out at the November 4th, 2015, Howard County and Columbia Partners in Pride, a community work session. It was at the barn in Oakland Mills, and they opened it. There were remarks, and then they had the Howard County Department of Inspections, Environmental Services, the Fire and Rescue, the police officers. There was audience question and answers, and pretty much ended. But basically, the only sponsorship in answer to your question was this little blurb that they put on all the emails that went out about it. It says, tonight's work session is sponsored by the villages of Dorsey, Search, Harper's Choice, on and on and on and on, Wilde Lake, and the Oakland Mills Housing Committee and Neighborhood Enhancement Advisory Committee. So they have two committees that are sanctioned with their board, and they help sponsor this also. And then at the very end, it just says, follow issues from tonight's sessions. Following, there will be notes posted on our website, and they publicize their website. So that was it.
How many people showed up?
I was in the audience, maybe 50.
And all of those villages were involved?
Don't know. Since nobody was asked to do anything more than give their name. So in our case, this time around, if we gave our name, that's basically all it would be. But if we thought our residents would like to have particular professionals on the panel, if we had residents that were interested in producing or giving something, that would be something else that we could participate in.
Mm.
So we discussed it. I got the information out. I think I've received lots of feedback. Thank you very much. It wasn't a voting subject. I apologize for taking this long. All right. That is basically it.
When you say professional, you're talking about contractors?
Yes.
Just okay.
Matter of fact, an example would be, for instance, concrete. Concrete is something that is highly expensive. And one of the things that was mentioned was that there would be the opportunity, perhaps, of negotiating on behalf of all of our villages to come to a very, very reasonable price if we were able to supply 10 homes versus, people going in one at a time and getting these high prices. So if you had from all the villages, 10 different houses that might be interested in doing some concrete.
That's an interesting concept. The only issue that I have is how do you designate which landscaping, which concrete guy, which aluminum guy, which siding guy you have doing the speaking? And would that not be very highly selective, depending upon how much you got paid for this?
All great questions. I'll write it down. I have no idea, but thank you.
You may also want to put a disclaimer on the contractors you recommend.
Again, the HOAs do this all the time when they're looking for work to be done, either for the community or for individuals. For instance, trees. So you're going to have some trees that must have to be removed or trimmed or whatever in the community. And it's an opportunity for then homeowners to have individual trees that they're responsible for. They get a much less expensive cost because the mobilization and demobilization is all taken into account for the entire community. And so on a village basis, it could be even larger when multiple villages are involved. And exactly what type of services would be amenable to that, I'm not sure. The concrete sounds interesting. Most people aren't have a large concrete. We all have fairly small properties. But for instance, I have a brick wall that came with the house, and it's just out there, and it's some kind of a barrier between my property and the homeowner's property, association's property. But it's crumbling, so I have to get it replaced or repaired. Or I'm not sure what but there are other people in the community that have things like that. Bricks and masons and so on can be expensive. And, there can be many other things like that. I'm just thinking of the Solar City people, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be another big round of various things that are energy efficient and so on. And it could be a way of getting information out to people who have an interest in it.
Yeah, I think that the key to all of that is, having an enticing agenda and having enough lead time to make it happen.
I think what you were saying earlier is now even more important because there isn't a lot of time to come up with of course,
it takes months to
it
get
could be
stuff
done.
out there.
Of course, you could start and run something this year, and if it looks like it's promising, it'll be much larger the following year.
So
Or if you run more than once a year.
Action in this, or like sponsor, being a sponsor? Or?
They wanted to know if we would be interested in being a sponsor.
But we still probably need to do something. No?
No, unless you want to actually provide a list of the individuals that you want.
So do you want a motion or something? Or?
No.
You just want to set so that you were.
I was just trying to get a pulse or a sense
I
from
think
you guys.
Sponsorship doesn't take any work from us.
There's no money, there's no work, there's nothing being asked.
Until it's.
Well,
Okay, I'll give you an idea, and I know we're winding down, I'm trying to get out of here, I apologize for bringing up this subject at the last minute. One thing that I asked be on the agenda, if they were able to do this, was to find ways to finance some of these projects. In other words, if you're offering all these individuals, these incredible people that are coming out, and I'll give you an instance, Jervis has found a way to recreate some of the older homes in their area. And so he's going to be on the list, and he's going to be presenting these grandiose ideas on how to, make your place better. And that's fantastic, but who can afford it if you're, in a smaller place and you're on a fixed income? What are you going to do? And so I asked if they could actually find financiers, individuals that could come in and give a discussion on possibly state or government grants on helping fix your home if you're on tight budget.
Financial options.
Options, absolutely. And so they said, oh, we didn't have that down, and so they wrote it down. So yeah, along the way, if we had additional items that we wanted to have them put in there.
Well, but it's not gonna take any energy, except if we did have to advertise it. And we don't have to do any physical work except to show up.
How do you guys feel about asking if they have professional facilitators instead of just their board chairs doing it?
Yeah,
That would be something new.
go to the contingency.
All right, thank you very much.
That's a really excellent idea, though.
Okay. All right, member comments. I'll start with Rhoda. Rhoda, you have anything?
No, I'm cool.
All right. Jeff?
Yes, the Village Center Drive is now on Google Maps, and you can actually find it on Google Maps. And the UPS store has been moved to the middle of the street of Village Center Drive. Now, they were in Elk Ridge originally.
Yeah.
And then they were put into the middle of the Howard County HCC campus, and I've been sending in corrections, and they finally got, I pointed right next to Absolute Wine. It's close enough where it is.
Well, close, that's pretty good compared to being in some other country. Yeah, that's great, Jeff, good work.
Excellent work.
Excellent work. Miss Marble over there. You gotta figure
Well, it turns
out.
out on Google Maps, there's a little thing that says, you know, if you want to edit this location.
Yeah.
And you can do that, and anyone can do it.
But still, you did it.
Yeah.
Low persistence. And a lot of work with UPS. Gradually working with them, so it's not.
No, I,
Sort of. All right.
I went to tell him I was going to. He was busy that day.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, will it? Nothing? All right. Well, thank you very much,
I
everyone.
moved it to close the meeting.
I would like to take a motion to.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:33.
Ooh, been moved, second, do I have a second? Second. Been moved and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Is this for me, Carol?
Anyone want to see the pictures?
Now, just FYI,
All right, let me make a copy of that page.
Jeff,
and I'll put that
Jeff
in.
has
I can
taken
find it
pictures
now.
physically of the Eagles. I was willing to share if you're at that.
I'm gonna go make a copy.
You're on the copy? Please, Carol.
You'll wonder this.